chance, give me one more chance. Sometime, so I woke from the vision, you know, and personally for me, I was given my chance, you know, whatever the thoughts, the beliefs are behind this, you know, the studies of near-death experiences and the debates about mind and matter, when does matter stop and then the mind takes over, like all these debates of whether or not this could even happen. It happened to me, and it had these impressions on me. So, the humanities class, this is why I'm going to come back to the humanities class. The morning of December 19, 2002, it was a normal morning, like I said. You know, I was going to work. I had a mission that day. It was to take care of my guys, show them their love and appreciation. They showed me all year long. I'm very loyal when it comes to things like that. You know, that probably derives from, you know, the Marine Corps and stuff like that. But, you know, it was just a normal morning. You know, it said goodbye to the children. I probably walked my daughter to preschool that morning. My mother was working at a nursing home during the time. Everybody was doing their normal things, and that's what I want to bring to a humanities class is that, you know, I myself is just as guilty as this. You know, I've taken a humanities class thinking, hey, you know, I'm taking a large workload this semester. Let me take a humanities class. Let me take a basket weaving 101. Let me take, like, it's belittled so much that we don't understand the benefits that we have taken these classes. That morning that all this happened, my mother didn't know that she was going to be beside her son's bed that night, you know, wondering whether or not he was going to be able to, whether or not he was going to live. She didn't know she was going to be dealing with death, you know. My wife at the time, she didn't know she was going to be dealing with death. All these people. And when I woke up out of, you know, this coma, when I woke up out of this coma, I remember like looking around and seeing like tubes and stuff all over me. And I remember looking and nothing made sense to me. And I remember asking a family member, like I remember like just barely like groggy looking over and making a glimpse of somebody and say, what happened? And that family member told me I killed 2 people. They said, you killed 2 people. And I just kind of probably went into shock, well, probably slipped back out. I held a little animosity for that for years because, you know, to me I was like, you know, I couldn't make out why that would be something that you would tell somebody coming out of a coma, you know. And then, you know, as of last semester, classes like this has taught me that not a lot of people know how to deal with these situations, coping with life and death. After my near-death experience, after the accident, I was charged with vehicular homicide, 2 counts. I was sentenced to 7 to 10 years in state correctional facilities. During this time, because of this experience, all this didn't matter no more. This was absolutely nonsense to me. This did not make sense at all. Because of this experience, because I felt like I made a bargain with somebody, like, please just give me another chance, I had another chance, and all my past successes was being stripped from me. I was now going into state prison for 7 years, where a lot of the things, you know, to include family, had been washed away from me during this period. But during this time, I know I'm I felt like I call it borrowed time because I felt like I made a deal with somebody. So I feel like now today, me knowing the right things, me knowing what's important in my life, for me not to do those, I feel like I'm stealing on borrowed time, you know. So this whole time that, these 7 years that I was locked up, I spent getting close to the church. I needed to know something about the meaning of life. I didn't care if it came from a Wiccan. I didn't care if it came from the Catholic Church. I didn't care if it was Protestant, Buddha, Muslim. It didn't matter. If there was a church function, it was open, I was there. And that in itself was like, I mean, I could give a whole nother class on that, multi-faith stuff. I love multi-faith stuff. Like, everybody has something to offer, you know. Bring it all together. Don't build barriers, tear them down. Like, that's good stuff. But so I was trying to find like this whole new meaning of life, new motivation. So my first year incarcerated, I went to Concord, and honestly, me being scared out of my wits, you know, yes, I was a former Marine, so what, that didn't mean nothing. I have a tattoo that has my Marine Corps stripes on me, And unfortunately, in a place like that, that means, okay, so back it up. You know what I mean? That becomes nothing more than a challenge sometimes. I stayed real positive. So anyways, my first year, I was a bit of a knucklehead, you know, trying to make a name for myself, trying to show people I wasn't scared to be in prison, trying to do everything I felt I needed to do to survive the next 7 years of my life. After my first year, I was transferred to Bridgewater State Hospital. Not as a patient, as a inmate worker, where I was able to earn good time, work with the state's mentally disabled convicts. That was a terrible term. I wish I didn't just say that. So these gentlemen. Again, I was still very deep into the church. I was lucky. I met a chaplain by the name of Miss Peg Newman. She took me under her wing. She was a Catholic chaplain. She took me under her wing. She she pretty much transformed me. I do give a lot of credit to her. She helped me. By now, I had just got baptized Catholic. She brought me deep into my Catholic faith. However, she was also a multi-faith kind of person, to where she left a lot of room for interpretation of other religions, and it absolutely fascinated me. And for those next 6 years, I would serve as a member of the church. I became a Eucharistic minister. They would let me out of my cell on like good faith kind of deal to go with this woman to my chaplain there to lockdown facilities for gentlemen who couldn't come out of their cells. Pretty much, they lived in their cells, they ate in their cells, they did everything in their cells. They were a danger to either themselves or population, so they were just kept there. So we would bring church to them every Sunday. You know, we'd go in there for a couple hours every day, and you know, it's such a judged population. And I understand why. I understand both sides of the fence. It's such a judged population that to actually experience it firsthand and deal with some of these gentlemen with their disabilities put aside, you can find some of the brightest light in some of these facilities, some of the purest hearts, some of the people who just made the wrong decisions, some people that just do have mental diseases, and those diseases put aside are really great people, you know. So that was that was the beginning of my path into, you know, into seeking humanities. So that's going to pretty much transition into the post-accident here. So now, I traveled, money, I've had money, fame, and I was a ghetto superstar. Like, I came home, everybody in my neighborhood knew who I was doing all right, you know. Post-accident. This is where I live for today. All right. Number one for me is God. It's God. My understanding of God is not to a religion, is not to a decree, is not to. My understanding of God is this: is if you could take everything good in this world, every good thought you've ever had, every good action you've ever seen, every goodness of good, pureness of earth, and you put it all together, to me, that's God. You know what I mean? And all the other stuff is what it is. Number two, humanities. Humanities is huge for me. Here's why. During this, even as a Marine, right, I was taught this by one of my sergeants, and it was one of the best pieces of advice anybody ever gave me. One of my sergeants, who probably was just annoyed at all these young PFCs, all these young privates coming up there asking stupid questions every 5 minutes. One of my sergeants, I'm sorry, I just lost my thought. That's crazy. Oh, so one of my sergeants used to say this. All these young kids would come up with these problems. Sergeant, my girl's not writing me. Sergeant, I can't figure out how to work this vehicle. Sergeant this, Sergeant that. So he'd say, you know, you guys come up to me with a lot of problems. Every single day, somebody's coming up to me with some problems. He's like, here's what you do. From now on, instead of coming up to me with a problem, if you have a problem, that's fine. You can come express it. Come to me with a solution. Don't be the one that just sits here and pumps all the problems at me and don't give me no solutions, because that's not helpful. So I took that, and that's became one of my paradigms in my own life. And so that connects to humanity like this. Just real quick, top of your head, give me some of the world's problems. Anything. Anything. Hunger. Anything else? World hunger, that's a problem. Wars are a problem. Crime's a huge problem, yes.
Poverty.
Poverty. So we see all these things, right? So check this out, right? We got poverty, crime, war, hunger, all the planet problems, right? Air, soil, all these planet problems that we're coming into. So you get all these problems, right? That's affecting all the world. These are all the things that we have to fix in the world. These are all problems, right? These are all peripheral problems. Because for me, you can't fix nothing unless you fix the foundation first, which is humanity. Nothing here could be fixed without fixing its root. Its root's humanity. Unfortunately, we've put some of these problems here. So it's on us to fix some of these things. Unfortunately, you know, the human mind's brilliant. We can figure out a lot of things, but if we don't put these paradigms, if we don't start changing the paradigms that we've used to get us to this problem, to get us to this far, if we don't change these paradigms in humanity itself, these things are going to conquer. If you want to solve these things, we make this strong, we'll be able to go into all these peripheral elements. So for me, humanity's huge.